No. Okay. Are we back? Do we have sound again?
Yeah, Nerdist in chat is like working on it.
All right. Wow, I wish I had paid attention, but here we are. All right. Folks, that was a special behind the scenes look at what a world without sound would be like if this show took place in space. Anyway, hello everyone. I'm Dan Casey. Welcome to today's episode of Nerdist News Talks Back, which I'm introducing for the very first time. It's our weekly over-the-top talk show about all things pop culture, and thank you so much for joining us. On today's show, we're going to be breaking down the Mandalorian finale, the latest Cyberpunk 2077 release drama, the most anticipated movies of 2021, and so much more. All of that plus some Samuel L. Jackson trivia on today's Nerdist News Talks Back. But before we get to any of that, let's meet today's amazing panel. Now, first up, she is the founder of Geek Bomb, the host of Nerdist Book Club, and Germany has officially declared her Punderbar for her formidable wordplay. It's Maude Garrett.
I love that intro. Thank you so much, Dan, for having me. And Merry holidays, everyone.
Yes. Merry holidays, miss, and happy holiday year to everyone, one and all. And Maude, people can also get to see even more of you on this channel this week and next. We're airing a couple of archival episodes for the very first time on Nerdist.com and Nerdist YouTube channel. Some old episodes of Nerdist Book Club, which are some of my favorites. We're going to do Harry Potter and The Princess Bride.
Super excited for these. They were probably my two favorite books that we did, but this was when the episodes were behind a paywall, but we figured they were so good that everyone deserves to see them. So if you like The Princess Bride, and if you want to hear why the movie is better than the book, or if you're into what I like to call Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, make sure you're sticking around because book club's where it's at.
Exactly. So beginning this Wednesday, we're going to be rolling out episodes each and every day all the way through holiday break. So stay tuned for that. Anyway, moving right along, next up, you may know her from Twitch Gaming, Newegg, Kingston Tech, and she may or may not have ray tracing enabled at this very moment. It's Trisha Hershberger.
Hi, Dan. Hi, everybody. I am tracing all of the rays right now. You got it spot on.
Look, someone has to, especially an RTX 3080 is hard enough to find, so we need to know that those rays will be traced.
Oh, yes.
Fantastic. All right. And last but not least, he gives you the inside scoop on pop culture over at Fandango. And he is the world's top travel blogger, not just on TikTok, but according to Dan Casey Monthly, a prestigious publication. Say hello to Khail Anonymous.
Hi, everyone. I've been really excited to get to be on this show and ultimately to finally start receiving the Dan Monthly in the mail. I still haven't gotten it.
It's look, I may have gotten your address wrong, or I may have forgotten to mail them out, but I promise you it exists. It's a real publication. And just keep checking your mailbox. Check it every 15 minutes from now until 2021, and it may be there.
Yeah, I'm free. I'm
No
free
promises.
for that. Yeah.
Yeah, just
Okay.
clear your schedule. I already canceled your meetings. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right, folks. So let's get this show on the road with a little segment that we like to call, Should You Be Wearing a Mask This Week? And the answer may surprise you. It's yes. Yes, of course you should. Look, I'm so grateful that we are at a point where people are starting to receive a vaccine for this horrible disease, but we are still seeing a spike across the country, around the world. So please don't face plant when we are so close to the finish line. Stay safe. Make sure you take care of yourself over the holidays. It's flu season on top of that. So be responsible. Don't be a dingus. Wear a mask. Anyway, moving right along. All right, folks. So good news, because 2020 is not done releasing its endless horrors upon this unsuspecting world just yet. Apparently, McDonald's has announced in China a Lovecraftian nightmare from the bowels of its kitchen. It's preparing to give it to the unsuspecting diners of that fine country today, because 400,000 lucky or unlucky people can get a unique burger. It is one that contains 2 slices of Spam, mayo, and it's topped with crumbled Oreos. So my question to the panel, because we're at the time of year where might be having some sweets and treats, and during the holiday season, people like to treat themselves a little bit. Would you eat this unique Oreo Spam burger? And what is the weirdest food that you like to eat? So Maude, let's start with you on this one.
Oh, I'd love to. Yeah, Spam. That's what I've always just wondered. Spam and mayo and Oreos together. Oh, what a real treat. I don't think I would eat this unless I lost a bet. But at the end of the day, it's like the equivalent. It's $2. It's $2. So like, why not? The curiosity behind it is extreme. But fun fact, in Mandarin, hamburger is Hambaobao.
Ooh. It's
Would you
hanbaga in Japanese.
What is
Would
it?
you eat
Hanbaga.
Vegemite?
Hamburger.
Would you eat Vegemite and Oreo?
That sounds
you-
like
oh, you mean
salty and
mixed?
sweet.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
what? I forgot. Australians always have it within reach.
Legally, they have to. It's,
Yes. If there's like a food, anything, it's like, by the way, Vegemite exists and it's I love it. I love it. And I'm like the only person in this panel that certainly does, that's for sure.
I will say, I also enjoy it.
It's good. It's
Yeah.
salty lip smacking goodness.
Yeah, I would have Vegemite and Oreo before I would have the
Spam.
Spam burger.
I thought we kind of ruled out spam as like the meat that no one should eat.
Oh, that's
I
not
think-
I'm,
That's not the plan, you know?
I'm
like,
from Philly, and it's very popular in like Jersey, Philly area. Spam is a thing. Spam with
Also
mayo.
in Hawaiian
actually.
cuisine.
Totally,
Like
totally
spam
okay.
musubi.
Mm-hmm.
okay.
But I think chefs have found a way to reclaim it. But I'm just not sure that this is the ideal delivery mechanism for any of these ingredients. But Trisha, would you eat this burger? And what is your weird food item that you like to eat?
I don't know that I would eat the whole thing, but I would totally try it just to like say that I tried it.
Mhm.
I feel like mayo and Oreo is a super, super weird choice. And it would probably be gross, but at least that way I could say I knew what it was like, you know?
Lord of Miller in the chat is saying that Chinese mayo is actually different from Western mayo.
Well,
That
maybe,
has also piqued my interest.
maybe that kind of accounts from, there's no egg in Chinese mayo, says Lord
Is
of
their
Miller.
mayo just made of whatever
Okay.
cream they put in an Oreo? Because if so, sounds like a great idea.
Hey.
Maybe. One of the
Otherwise, this
weirdest
sounds
things-
trouble stuffed.
One of the weirdest things that I really like, and if you haven't tried it yet, do yourself a favor, but peanut butter and jelly burgers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go to
Yeah.
a restaurant that has a PB&J burger, they are delicious. And that's another one that I was like, don't know how I'm going to feel about that, but let's just try it just cause. And it was good. It was very well received try.
Yeah, that's literally what I had written down. Peanut butter on burgers. It is fantastic. Highly recommended if you have not given it a shot. Trust us on this. You will thank us later or write us an angry letter, in which case, you know, at least you tried something. Expanded your palate. But Khail, what about you? Would you try this?
Oh my
And
God,
what is your weird
absolutely
food
write
item?
angry letters. Do we get angry letters anymore? That'd be kind of cool. That's so retro.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I don't
yes.
accept comments, just angry letters.
Yeah, at least put in the work if you're going to be mad. All right. So yeah, no, I would absolutely try this. I get all of the weird food at the fair. Anytime they have like some weird new fair thing, they're like, we deep fried a tractor. I'd be like, yeah, try that. But I think the article totally buried the lead with the whole, it was like, would you try this Oreo Spam burger? I was like, yeah. And then it's like, by the way, there's also mayonnaise in there. That's what I think throws it off for me. I feel like an Oreo Spam burger, I'm like, yeah, okay. But the mayo is really what throws it over the edge. It's just a little bit too much. But yeah, so I'd absolutely try this for $2.
Like, to me, the mayo just seems like the binding agent to make sure that none of the ingredients slide out of the burger. Like, it's just food glue at this point. But what if maybe if they called it aioli, I think we might be like, oh, well, that does sound fancy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Aioli is just mayonnaise with a trust fund. So please don't be fooled. Just know what you're eating.
It's true.
But anyway, let's leave this this weird food talk behind and move on to something else, which is also tangentially related to wearing masks. So Christopher Nolan is back in the news for saying some frankly wild stuff, mostly about Warner Brothers' decision to put their entire 2021 slate on HBO Max the same day it drops in theaters. But the man behind the Dark Knight trilogy also recently made waves about one of his more memed about characters, Tom Hardy as Bane in The Dark Knight Rises. So during a recent appearance on the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast, Christopher Nolan said that Tom Hardy's Bane has yet to be fully appreciated. There's no safety net for any of these guys. And Tom, I mean, what he did with that character is yet to be fully appreciated. It's an extraordinary performance and truly amazing, Nolan said. The voice, the relationship between just seeing the eyes and the brow. We had all these discussions about the mask and what it would reveal and what it wouldn't reveal. One of the things I remember him saying to me, he sort of put his finger up to his temple and his eyebrow and said, can you give me this to play with? Let people see this. Sure enough, you see there in the film this kind of Brando-esque brow expressing all kinds of just monstrous things. It's really quite a performance. So my question to the panel is, what do you think of Christopher Nolan's assessment about Tom Hardy's Bane, however many years on we are right now? Khail, let's start with you on this one.
don't people love Bane plenty? Wasn't he like the most popular Halloween costume for a while? Hasn't everybody done a Bane impression? Like, I don't understand. Does he just want some more praise? Like, I think Bane is appreciated fine enough. It's a great performance. It's a lot of fun. It added like more person, because you had he had to follow up the Joker, so you had to inject a lot of personality and like uniqueness to this character. But like Tom Hardy also did Bronson. I mean, he's already out there putting out like really extraordinary like extra characters. I think Bane is appreciated fine. I love doing his impression. Bane's great. Everyone loves Bane. Chris, like, what's the problem, Chris?
I think part of the problem might be that when some people do the impression, it's not out of a deep-seated appreciation for the pathos that Tom Hardy brought to Bane, but because he talks crazy. And like it's a fun voice to do. It's unexpected, especially compared to what you'd seen from that character in Batman the Animated Series. So I'm curious.
Yeah, but people do the Joker impression and they do it even jokingly, and they still love the Joker.
But
I don't
you
know.
can understand him. Even if the jokes don't land, you understand what the Joker's saying.
I'm with Vincent Rubio in chat, says anything as memeable as Tom Hardy's Bane is great. I am all for that. And I agree with Khail. I think Tom Hardy's Bane gets a lot of love. I don't know that we need to like hype it up more. I think let's just all appreciate all of our lovely DC verse.
Well, on that note, are there other film performances, DC or otherwise, that you think are underrated or yet to be appreciated, much like Christopher Nolan suggests that Tom Hardy is yet to be appreciated?
But if we could actually stick with Batman, the Schumacher Batman was just like both of them. I think that Jim Carrey as Mr. Enigma was so well done. I absolutely loved the Riddler, and I think that was a performance that should have been celebrated a lot more than it was.
He and Uma Thurman know exactly what movie they are in.
Yep.
You can't say that for everyone else in that movie. And George Clooney just spoke, I think, with Hollywood Reporter talking about how watching that movie gives him physical pain. He's like, yeah, this was a huge miss for everyone involved. I think anyone who was involved in it would tell you. He also revealed that Arnold made $25 million for that. So good on you, future governor.
Maude is so mad because that role was just puns, and she's like, I could have done that.
I have a fun trivia tidbit from our producer Adam. On the set of Batman Forever, Tommy Lee Jones told Jim Carrey that he could not sanction his buffoonery. So infamously good-natured and not at all grump, Tommy Lee Jones was not down to clown with Jim Carrey.
He's such a sour man. He really is.
Look, I feel like I get the personality he's cultivated. He's just there to be Two-Face and sell McDonald's glassware, not necessarily
that's the
deal
rules.
with Jim Carrey. See, there you are.
I mean, his Two-Face was great
trembling.
though.
Yeah. So, Trisha, who else would you put up as someone who's an underrated film performance?
In the Batman verse
or any verse. Does not have to be Batman specifically.
Oh, I thought it specifically had to be Batman.
No, I'm sorry.
Ooh, give me time then. I have to think.
Okay, I'll throw this one.
I got a good one.
Okay, go ahead, Khail.
I think Tevin Campbell, who played Powerline in a Goofy movie, doesn't get enough credit for Powerline. I don't think we talk about Powerline enough. I love Powerline. You guys think about Powerline all the time?
Where's there behind the music?
Yeah, where's Powerline? Why doesn't Powerline get like a spinoff or an origin story?
Charge it up.
It's just he shows up for the music videos, and I want to know what like his life. I think what if it's like A Star Is Born? Like what if his story is kind of like that? I would love to see that.
Hey you, yuck.
Okay, I got one.
Want to final look at you?
Gosh, go ahead.
This is a deep cut. But I'm going to say Tim Robbins in Hudsucker Proxy needs to be appropriated more. That movie in general needs to be appreciated.
That's a real
more.
deep cut. It's for the kids.
Look, Hudsucker Proxy Hive in the chat. Where are you at? Let's get that Tim Robbins love in there. But no, I think that's the kind of like, I love stuff like that where it's not something you necessarily think about. For me, don't think it's something that anyone's thought about since they left the theater, or maybe they can't stop thinking about it. It's either one or the other. And that is specifically Eddie Redmayne in the feature film Jupiter Ascending. Another person who is absolutely swinging for the fences and knows exactly what movie they are in, even if the rest of the cast does not. His manic energy as this emperor who's trying to turn the rest of the galaxy into skincare products, I think that's the plot, is gleefully unhinged. And while that movie is by many accounts a hot mess, they really went for it, and nowhere is that more exemplified than Eddie Redmayne in that movie. So
I believe that was the year that he got not only the Academy Award for Best Actor, but also the winner of the Razzie for Worst Actor in the same year.
Yes, I wonder, like, that has to be a unique accomplishment in cinematic history.
Actually, it's null and void, so he has to start from the
so he has
again.
he has to just delete his IMDb and start fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the real reason that they're delaying Fantastic Beasts, because he has to reset his page. But anyway, let's move on from here and talk about another surprise announcement beyond the fact that he won both those awards in the same year. So perhaps no game developer out there says anything you can do, I can do better as authoritatively as Riot Games does. With League of Legends, they outdid Defense of the Ancients, aka Dota. With Valorant, they combined Counter-Strike and Overwatch into one of the most exciting new esports titles around. And now they're looking to give World of Warcraft and other MMOs a run for their money with a brand new massively multiplayer online role-playing game set in the League of Legends universe. And the announcement was as casual as a Taylor Swift album release in 2020, mentioned just offhandedly by Riot VP Greg Street, who mentioned that he is helping to develop the League universe and kick off, quote, a big, some might say massive game that many of you and many Rioters have been asking for years. And in a follow-up, he did confirm that it is in fact an MMO, which sent the internet into a tizzy. So my question to the panel is, what do you think that a League of Legends MMO can do to this genre, which already feels pretty crowded and thoroughly dominated by World of Warcraft? I mean, do you think it can really give WoW a run for its money? Trisha, let's start with you on this one.
I mean, I think that Riot is taking the successful parts of what Blizzard has done in building out, you know, having this same shared universe with a variety of different genres of game. And Riot's looked at that and said exactly what you said, Dan. You know, I see what you're doing, and I think I can do it even better. Now, whether or not they can do it better remains to be seen. But for people who absolutely love League of Legends, getting to have an MMO in that world with those characters is going to be really exciting. So I don't know that I see it so much as WoW versus whatever LOL's MMO is, as much as here is an MMO like WoW for people who love League of Legends to now put more time and get even more into that ecosystem. Like Blizzard does a really good job with HOTS and WoW and Diablo and Hearthstone kind of all being in this shared universe. So even if you're like, well, that genre game's not for me, I love that character and I love how they interact with this and that, and I love the cinematics, etc. So, I mean, for League of Legends, they're already huge. Riot's already huge. Why not do that for your own? I think it's a smart play.
No, I think that's a great point. It has such a massive fan base around the world. Whenever there's a League of Legends esport event on Twitch, it's constantly dominating, the most viewed. Whenever, you know, you have senators, US senators and representatives playing this game. AOC has gone on record admitting that she plays League of Legends, probably helped her prepare for the toxicity of Congress as well. But it's interesting. But I'm curious, what do you think that a game like this needs to do to break through? Because obviously, is there anything that you think that's unique beyond the lore and the setting that a game like this can offer? Maude, what do you think?
I think there's enough room for it. I don't think it's necessarily like an overcrowded market, only because MMOs are really hard to be successful. Like when you look at the other franchises that have tried MMOs, there was Final Fantasy, Star Wars, and it's like they were okay, but you have to like Elder Scrolls as well. You have to maintain sort of like so many patches and servers to keep an MMO alive. And so that's why people don't often don't do it. But at the same time, the only really successful one, WoW, has been going since what? The early
2004.
So it's kind of nice that there's a potential like competitor that could be as successful as that. My concern is something a lot higher than that. And it's not necessarily as a consumer that gets to play the games, but it's looking at the corporations. And that's the fact that Tencent is basically owning all of these like labels and studios and gaming houses. Like they already have a lot of Activision that they've purchased and Blizzard, and they also own all of Riot Games and Epic Games. And so as far as I'm concerned, they're just like making stupid amounts of money and will take over the world.
Yeah, I mean, and especially when you look at the business that Riot Games does, they've really mastered that freemium model of free to play and offering a lot of in-game options while not necessarily like keeping you locked out of content that you need to win. And even just look at another massive free to play success this year, Genshin Impact, which I've seen people online call Breath of the Waifu, because it's basically Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, but you add in that kind of like gotcha mechanic of like collectability and unlocking different stuff. People have spent millions of dollars on that game collectively. So, Khail, do you think that in order to succeed that they need to make this MMO free to play as well, or should they go with a more traditional subscription model?
Oh yeah, I mean it totally helps. A lot of the games that are free to play now tend to explode a lot bigger. Like Fortnite, it's just a much easier way to get people to at least give it a shot. And we already know that Riot at least has some sort of foundation to be able to support that model. As far as the game itself, I kind of have a blind spot with both Riot and MMOs. I'm an open world junkie. So as long as you have a beautiful world and it's addicting in some way, I'm definitely down to try it out. So if you need people that aren't playing MMOs right now and you want to pull them in, I think that's going to be the way to do it, is to just make that beautiful world and make it like really addicting. And I think I'd probably give it a shot, even though I'm not an MMO guy.
And I think that's a great point, because these games, they survive on keeping a steady influx of new people coming in, as well as like making sure that other people stick around for the long haul. And, think about a story that I saw recently about a gamer who they made it to max level in World of Warcraft without ever choosing a faction between Alliance or Horde, by starting in the like Mists of Pandaria like starting area and just harvesting millions and millions of flowers to level up until they reached the max level. So they played the game as a pacifist. So you never know. That's the kind of cool thing about a game like this. There's so many weird ways that you can access it. So even if you don't like traditional MMO mechanics, hey, maybe you just want to log on, pick some flowers, and just spend some time in the virtual world, because the real world right now is kind of scary. So yeah, I think that's an interesting point.
Dude.
And I look forward to seeing what they come out with. But let's move on to a game that is engendering a fair amount more controversy than anything over in the Riot side of things, and that is Cyberpunk 2077. Wake up, samurai. We've got goodwill to burn. Now, as we explained last week on Nerdist News, Cyberpunk 2077 has had a rocky launch, to say the least. Between an unavoidable game mechanic that induced a seizure in a Games Informer journalist, characters' wieners straight up clipping through their pants, and game-breaking bugs that made it near unplayable on last-gen consoles, this highly anticipated RPG has faced consumer outrage and demands for refunds. And although the developers at CD Projekt Red are hard at work on large patches to fix performance issues in this game, they've earned fans' ire primarily directed towards management, because CD Projekt Red announced that gamers could get refunds for the game without actually confirming this with major storefronts like PlayStation Network or Xbox Live. They've since worked some of this out because they've actually taken things down off of like the PlayStation Network store, and you have all these reports coming out about furious developers taking umbrage with how management handled the situation, potential lawsuit from investors and shareholders, and now Sony, Microsoft, and brick and mortar retailers like Best Buy are implementing looser return policies for this game, but the damage kind of feels like it's been done. So I'm curious, this is a game that's been kind of like the marketing machine has been in full force all year long. Before we get into it a little bit, have you played Cyberpunk yet, and how has your experience been? Khail, let's start with you on this one.
Yeah, I played a lot. I'm in Act 3. I think I'm level like 28 or something. So I've I've logged at least over 40 hours at the very least. And I have encountered so many bugs of every single type. I've encountered missions I couldn't complete, items I couldn't pick up, bad GPS tracking, weird zoning for enemy alerts. My friends have had glitches that have started and not gone away, including ones that have covered the entire screen. There's weird stuff personally, like that feels like the game is incomplete. Like you can't like modify cars in a game that is like all about modifications. You can't modify your car, you can't modify your person, you can't pop tires, the water doesn't make splashes. There's so many things that make this game feel incomplete. But to answer your question, yes, Dan, I've played it.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've put 40 plus hours in as well and encountered my fair share of bugs, including something where I'm climbing a ladder, then it rockets me like 600 feet away.
Why does it do that? Why does it
uh,
do that?
Look, I have cyber arms. I'm jacked as hell, and I just propel myself off. I pressed the fire me 600 feet button by accident. I should change my key bindings.
You get so
But I've had
excited to
weird,
be at the top of the ladder. You're just like, I made it. You shoot
yeah.
straight off.
Sometimes if you stand on the wrong piece of like trash or something, you just clip and it kills you. But even so, even with all these glitches, I'm still having a very good time because I can see all the labor of love in there. And I'm someone who used to play the Cyberpunk tabletop RPG on which it was based way back in the day. So this has been my most anticipated game for ever since it was announced like 7 or 8 years ago. And it's just a bummer to see how this situation is unfolding because the developer has been pouring their heart and soul into this. They've been crunching, working long hours, and they all have everyone is serving a different master. They have to like get their work done. They have to meet shareholder demands. It's just unfortunate because this, I think, has really kind of overshadowed the good qualities of the game for many people out there. Let me see in the chat. Connor Pike says, I've had no problems with my Cyberpunk. I'm playing it on PS4 Pro. Nathan S says, I never buy early, wait for the bugs to be worked out first. Vincent J. Rubio says, I was soldiering through on PS4, but I was getting nauseous. And Syndrak says, I'm 40 hours into my second playthrough. Love the game, but the bugs are everywhere and need to be fixed. Game is practically unplayable on last-gen consoles. And that's interesting because that is something that the head of CD Projekt admitted on a shareholder call. I think it was Adam Kaczynski. He said, yeah, our focus was, we didn't place enough focus on last-gen consoles. They didn't even really make stuff outside of PC codes available for review. But I'm curious, how does this compare to past game launches like a No Man's Sky or like any Bethesda game, which are infamously buggy? And why does the conversation around this feel so different? So Trisha, I want to start with you on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I saw a lot of, I'm renaming this game Cyberpunk 2076 in comparisons to Fallout 76 and that launch. But I've been playing a ton of the game on PC on Twitch stream, and I like to get into the gutty works of my PC. So I have a very high-end spec machine to run this game. And the glitches that are not just the visual glitches, but the glitches that actually stop your game, that you either have to completely close out the game, come back in, reload a save, etc. Or for me, you spend 10 minutes really trying to figure out how to get past this part only to realize that it's been a glitch the whole time. And if you just loaded a save, it would have been very obvious what you needed to do next. That to me is super frustrating. But I think we've seen a lot of this in releases before, and this is a poor compilation of just people being frustrated anyway from being stuck inside for so long because we're in a global pandemic, plus this game being hyped for so long, plus the way it was advertised was very behind closed doors, press only, and it really made people expect a certain thing from the launch. And when the launch came out, and especially on previous gen, or I guess current gen, I don't know what we're calling the PS4 and the Xbox One right now, but that gen hardware, and people were expecting the demos and such that they had seen on PC. I understand why people are upset. You're paying the same full price as people, who are potentially playing it on a platform that has been much better quality assurance tested. Although, like I said, as someone playing it on PC, I often wonder how much QA testing went into this one, because there are bugs everywhere. And yes, some of them are funny and I don't mind. But some of them are incredibly frustrating as you're playing through. And overall, exactly what you said, Dan, my heart goes out to the devs who've been working on this game for over a decade and should be, able to go outside and do victory laps right now because it's finally done and they put so much hard work into it. And you can see when you play it, the shining moments of brilliance in it. And it's ironic for a world, the cyberpunk world, where big evil corporations ruin everything. It's ironic that it seems like a bunch of corpos at the head of CD Projekt Red may have ruined the final step for the dev team and everybody who put their heart and soul into this.
Yeah, I think that really speaks to it. They're sort of putting profit before product, it seems, based on the stuff that's been coming out through reporting from places like Bloomberg and Kotaku. And it's just disappointing. But, I also think about previous games like No Man's Sky, Final Fantasy XIV, A Realm Reborn, and Fallout 76, even games that were kind of lambasted when they first came out because they did not deliver on their promise, or they were buggy, or they did not live up to expectation, have been tinkered with repeatedly to the point where they are vastly improved. So, Maude, I'm curious, do you think that Cyberpunk can do kind of what No Man's Sky did over time? And what does CD Projekt Red need to do to regain that goodwill?
Initially, I was going to say yes. I think that it could have bounced back, especially when you look at the case of Witcher 3. When that game came out, it was like meme city, especially with Roach. Hello, neighbor dog. But especially with like Roach, who would appear on top of like houses for no reason. It was like a bit of a joke. But then they patched that up. It got a reputation of not only getting Game of the Year, but in many cases, including my own, it was Game of the Decade. And I think that actually then solidified CD Projekt Red as an amazing game studio. This time, though, I think by Sony coming forward and being pulling the game off their shelves and making sure that no one can buy it, that's kind of like someone tapping them on the shoulder and regulating them in a very public way. We didn't have that with any other game before, and I think that's what shifted the tone. But what I really think is interesting, and I only thought of it just then, is that this game should have been released on the new gen consoles and PC only. It should not have been back adapted at all. It should be focusing on that new technology, which actually works in the favor of what Cyberpunk 2077 is all about. The problem is Sony, who reprimanded CD Projekt Red by pulling the game off the shelves, has completely sold out of PlayStation 5s. So I'm wondering if they were able to deliver more PlayStation 5s and they even team it up with the CD Projekt Red or whatever, but if there's more of a chance to be able to play this game the way it should have been played, then is Sony almost at fault by making people buy it on a last gen console because there was not enough PlayStation 5s, especially around Christmas time or the holidays, to be able to get the best way to play it. So there's a lot of faults across the board. CD Projekt Red often overpromises and underdelivers. It's happened time and time again. I think that the staff are really angry at them, and that's an interesting point of view. The shares plummeted 12% when all this went down. Stupid is saying it was made for current gen. I think that by trying to adapt it for Xbox One and PlayStation 4 is what really, really hurt it, and it should be working forward and not backwards.
Yeah, I think that's a great point as well, because this, is such a flagship title. And I understand, look, PS4 and base PS4 and base Xbox One have an install base of millions and millions of people worldwide. And if they were going to do this, they needed to, honestly, they had the best excuse in the world, a global pandemic, as a reason why they should delay release date another year. Look at what Halo Infinite did. They were supposed to be a launch title for the Xbox Series X, but they pushed back a full calendar year. And I think that's going to make a significant difference. People have already waited this long. What's another year going to hurt? Because it's that infamous Shigeru Miyamoto saying, a rushed game is bad forever. A delayed game is eventually good. And I think that is really speaking to the core of the matter here with Cyberpunk. But I'm hoping they can get to a better place, because when the game is good, it's great. But when it's bad, it's terrible. And I think that badness can be mitigated through performance patches and things like that. So I'm curious to see what's coming down the pipeline. But speaking of things that should have been released this year, let's move on. With cinemas closed most of this year, a metric ton of movies have actually delayed their release dates to 2021. And with hybrid release strategies in place and the prospect of a COVID-19 vaccine making returning to a theater near you maybe a more of a reality potentially, there's going to be a major battle for viewers' eyeballs next year specifically. So what movies should we actually be excited for? What films are worth adding to your most anticipated list? We're going to break it down with our panel. So my question to you folks is, what is your most anticipated movie of 2021 and why? Khail, let's start with you on this one.
Okay, my most anticipated is Spider-Man 3, which is the Spider-Man that is going to include all the Spider-Mans. It is the most Spider-Man of all. It's going to have Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, Kirsten Dunst, Emma Stone. They're not going to be they may be Spider-Gwen. One may be Spider-Gwen. I don't know. But yeah, no, this is definitely going to be one of the biggest Spider-Man movies, obviously, maybe one of the biggest Marvel movies. I'm trying to figure out if it's going to beat Avengers Endgame for biggest box office, because people love Spider-Man. So I don't know, but that's definitely my most anticipated coming out in theaters. And I noticed you were asking us about streaming. Do you want me to save that one, or do you want me to include
so
that now?
my next question was, that's your most excited for theater, but what movie you're most excited to watch at home? Because I do think next year it's going to be a divide between movies that we're willing to go to the theater for versus ones that we're like, I'm still feeling uncomfortable, let's stay at home.
Okay, because I have a prop for my streaming one. Because I'm the most I'm most excited for Matrix 4.
Yeah.
I know that maybe isn't on most people's list for some reason, but I've been waiting for this. I still have one of the Powerade Matrix Reloaded special edition things that they made. And I have been saving this.
It matches you too.
If I ever do an interview with the Wachowskis, I was going to either drink this or share this with them if they could. So I just need, at some point, I'm excited about this movie because maybe I'll get to interview them and share this. How old is this? How old is
that? Was like 2003?
You've moved house like 3 times in the last 5 years as well. Like, you've taken that thing with you.
Yes, this has been with me for like since my childhood at this point.
He has thrown out everything else during every move except for this bottle of Matrix Powerade. That reminds me of one time I grabbed a can of soda from the fridge at my uncle's house one summer, and I just wasn't paying attention. It was a can of Mountain Dew. I was like, oh, this tastes weird. Maybe I just don't like Mountain Dew. Then I looked down, and it was a Star Wars Episode 1 branded can of Mountain Dew. And let me tell you something, dear reader. The year was not 1999. The year was much closer to like 2004 or something like that. So it was extremely expired and very out of date. So yeah, that was bad news there. So
what's the worst that can happen?
Khail, just be careful. That's all I ask. Live your life, but just be careful. Maybe drink it through a mask. That might just be the best way for everyone. But those are both great choices. Movies that I'm very excited to see. But Maude, what about you? What movie are you most excited for to see in theaters and at home?
I have a prop as well.
Oh.
Ooh.
Yes.
June. I say it with a soft D. June is my movie of choice. I'm so gutted that it got pushed back, but it gives me more time to read the rest of the series. I think that this is going to be beautiful. I think the movie's going to be, like, we saw the trailer. If you haven't, it's on Nerdist. We did a full-on breakdown with it. It's such a vast, epic kind of story. And I think especially sort of in this COVID, hopefully soon post-COVID world, it would be really, really fascinating to explore that sort of sci-fi, space fantasy, all of those themes in there. I'm just a bit gutted that it got pushed back so much, but that's what I want to see on the big screen.
Mm-hmm.
On the small screen, I had to I thought it would be Black Widow, because that one got delayed so much that I'm just keen to watch it. And I could happily do that on the small screen. But then I realized, oh, wait, I want to watch Candyman from home. I don't want to watch that on a big screen. I don't want people to see how scared I am. But so far, I am 2 out of 2 for Jordan Peele horror, and I do not watch horror. And both of them I really enjoyed. So I think that this is something that I can get into. I just want to be at home with lights on.
Yeah, I hear you on that. I want to be able to like hold on to my dog for dear life when I watch Candyman. I'm so excited to see what Nia DaCosta brings to this movie. You know, based on the success of this and how this was looking, she's also been tapped to direct Captain Marvel 2. So clearly big things are ahead. And yeah, Dune, that's a movie that I'm actually low-key grateful it's been pushed back to October 2021, because hopefully by that point I can actually go see it on an IMAX screen, because you know, after seeing the level of sci-fi splendor Denis Villeneuve was able to bring to Blade Runner 2049, I cannot wait to see, you know, I watched the Dune trailer so many times, and not just because it was produced by our cool corporate dad, but because I love this sci-fi world that Frank Herbert created, and I love how they're reimagining it for a new generation with just all the modern tools of 21st century filmmaking. I'm very excited to see that. But Trisha, tell me, what are your choices for in a theater and at home in 2021?
Well, for in theaters, definitely Spider-Man 3. I'm right with Kale. All of the Spider-Mans, live action Spider-Verse looks like a thing that's happening. I mean, they've said that we're going to see Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange, which opens us up to the multiverse, which is how all of this makes sense. Alfred Molina is coming back as Doc Ock, who I love. Like, I'm so incredibly hyped. Plus, I'm a Tobey Maguire as Peter Parker stan, which I know is not the most popular opinion on the internet, but I definitely am. So yeah, I am very much looking forward to Spider-Man 3. And then as far as streaming, this is a little bit of a cheat because it's 2020, not 2021, but everyone else props. So I'm going to prop. Dun, 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 dun.
What?
Oh, costume
Good reveal.
change.
Good reveal.
Day. I didn't know
That
you were
is-
going to ask that question, and I just happen to have my Wonder Woman dress on today.
No, look, see, you mean you planned ahead. No one expected it. No, this is awesome. Like, this is fortuitous right there. And that's great because it comes out on Christmas Day. I think it's going to be available on HBO Max for a month. And now they've reached a deal with Roku. So basically anyone who wants to can watch this movie. But yeah, those are both fantastic choices. As for myself, obviously you mentioned Candyman for at home. Another movie I'm excited to watch at home is the Uncharted movie. That's a movie I am morbidly curious about because I'm always keen to see if they can make a video game movie actually work, if they can kind of break that curse, because it's a challenging genre to adapt.
The pictures looked good though.
Yes, and you have Nolan North there on set giving his seal of approval. So
Dan,
I'm
how long have they
hopeful.
been working on that film?
Exactly 100 years tonight. David O. Selznick at the dawn of cinema said, "Get me Nathan Drake," and everyone was like, "What are you talking about?"
I've been reporting on Uncharted since I started reporting on entertainment news. So I
been
do
like a
not even
decade
believe
now.
it's coming out.
Yeah, no, it's been a long time, but I do believe that since they've actually shot it, it could theoretically come out. The other movie I'm most excited for that I want to see in a theater, even though it'd probably just be good as it'd be good at home as well, is The Green Knight, starring Dev Patel as this sort of A24 psychosexual horror take on Arthurian legend, Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. It just looks fantastic. If you haven't seen that trailer yet, highly recommend checking it out. I can't wait to see that movie on the biggest screen humanly possible. Obviously Dune as well. And let us know what your choices would be in the comments below, because it's going to be
Can you please say June properly? June. Thank you.
June. I
Thank
hope
you.
it, and it comes out in
What is
October. So
that?
I'm excited to see it.
Oh, Maud's
when
a
it
fan
eventually
of the
drops.
Liquid You.
What?
The Liquid You, the Dune. Yeah, it's
Like
that's
Tuesday. And
June.
yeah,
Tuesday. It's like
you know, it's
anything
right before-
live
you
before the
after
year.
it is a soft consonant. Does that make
For
sense?
every
It's
D
right-
letter, so it'd be like Jen Casey.
No. So if it's followed by a U, it's not a heart. It's like, so it's not Call of Duty. It's Call of Duty.
Yeah, like
Okay, I'm
Yeah,
not
like
gonna
Junkin'
say Call of
Donuts.
Judy.
Oh no, Dad! I can't. Okay, well, my accent's
Yeah.
strange, but I will.
it,
I
it
bet.
comes
Maud,
comes
I
right
will say
before
the
July.
Liquid You is very popular in Shakespearean performance.
Oh,
And-
she classy.
everywhere.
Got it.
And
Okay.
it is a Shakespearean saga like no other. So go see it in theaters or at home in October 2021. Thanks, Corporate Dad. Moving right along.
It's good.
Okay, let's take it away from, well, speaking of Dune, here's a franchise that ripped off plenty from it, Star Wars. All right, the galaxy far, far away just had a thrilling conclusion to The Mandalorian Season 2. That was definitely the way. On Friday, Season 2 of the hit Disney Plus series came to its end in Chapter 16, The Rescue. Not the end of the series, the end of the season. I want to clarify there. We're going to get into everything that happened in just a moment, but first, I want to make sure we issue yet another spoiler warning, because if you haven't seen it yet, I don't want to hear you complaining after the fact. Every video I do about it, I give you a spoiler warning, but I still see people in the comments saying like, how come you didn't tell me you're going to spoil this? Well, I did. Please just watch it. Anyway, if 3, 2, 1. Okay, it's spoiler o'clock. If you're still here, too bad. Okay, so Chapter 16, The Rescue, seemingly brought a ton of storylines to a close, answered some major questions, confirmed fan theories, and gave us yet another new Star Wars series to look forward to. So I want to talk about the kind of the Jedi in the room here, one of the biggest reveals in the episode. What did you think about the appearance of none other than Luke Skywalker in this episode. You know, we were wondering who Grogu reached out to through the Force on Tython. The answer was perhaps Occam's lightsaber, the most obvious answer of all, Luke Skywalker. So Maude, let's start with you on this one. What were your thoughts on Luke's appearance and what it means for our wee baby Grogu moving forward?
Luke. I was so happy about it. I loved it so much. I was in the same boat where I was like, well, technically in the OT, the original trilogy, we had Yoda say, you know, how few a Jedi there were at that particular time, which was basically Luke and then a Force sensitive Leia. Now that we've got a lot more canon expanded over to us, it's like, well, actually, it could have been the dude from Fallen Order. It could have been Ahsoka Tano. There's a lot more Jedi out there at the moment. But yeah, it just makes sense that it was Luke. I had a full-on meltdown because when I do prep for my show, The Mandalorian, I like to write notes, and my train of thought while this was happening, I wish I could do a dramatic reading of it, but it is plagued with swear words because there was so exciting. But you know, with the classic hood, the gloved hand, I immediately knew. But what I loved the most was that the best part of Rogue One was that end part where Darth Vader came in and just tore everything up. This was the reverse of that. Not only was it Darth Vader's son, but it was him going against, instead of like the good guys, he was tearing apart the bad guys. And it was just such a beautiful moment in the episode. In terms of what we have in store for Grogu, I'm wondering if it's again going to emulate a lot of what Luke went through. And that was after he trained with Yoda on the Dagobah system. He kind of like, fast forward, there was a time jump, he's a Jedi Knight. I'm wondering if we're going to get that with Grogu. I just want to see a little tiny lightsaber in his little hand. I think that would be the most perfect thing ever. But I also think it's because I don't necessarily want a Mandalorian without a team up of Din Djarin and Grogu. I think that they need to be together. So I think it'll be like, cool, we trained, here he is back, or whatever.
Yeah, because I also don't want to see Grogu stick around long enough for the closing ceremony on Luke's Jedi Academy, which went up in flames after Kylo Ren peaced out. So I'm worried. And also, I think this series has been, for me, one of the defining factors has been this relationship between Din and Grogu, these two kind of people who are... they don't have a traditional family structure. They've been cruelly ripped from that by circumstance and war, and they found each other amidst all this horror and bloodshed. So I hope that they can come back together at some point in the future.
Is Bane going to kill Grogu?
Yeah, that's going to be the final episode, the post-credit scene. He just gets turned into like a little like Sith kebab.
Grogu is a Knight of Ren. What? I mean, I know that they all seem big, but if it's like, you know, a manufactured body and he's the helmet part.
The Knights of Ren are just Grogu clones standing on each other's shoulders in trench coats. They're just, look, we know they took his blood. Anything's possible. But yeah, like speaking of the future of this series, we also have some major implications for Din Djarin, and he has the Darksaber now, which makes him the de facto ruler of Mandalore, even though he wants no part of it. So what do you think might happen with that as we head into season 3 and 4? And it looks like he's going to come to conflict with Bo-Katan. So Trisha, let's chat about this a little bit. What do you think is going to happen next for Din?
You know, that's such an interesting question. After I saw the season finale of season 2, as much as I'm loving The Mandalorian, I was like, and this is where our story ends. Like, to me, that's the button on the story. Grogu's going to go off and train and potentially become a Knight of Ren, you know, with Luke, or maybe someone said in chat, we could get a Luke and Grogu animated series, and that would be rad. I'd be in favor of that, but I feel like maybe this is the end of this story, which makes me a little worried for a Mandalorian season 3 and season 4. Yes, we're kind of set up in an interesting place, but as Maude said, kind of the thing that everyone fell so in love with about this series was the buddy team up there. And if we don't have that, yeah, it's going to have to redefine itself. And I think it's going to be hard. They can certainly play on the Darksaber and kind of the politics of where it's going to go from here. But I think the show will have a very different feel to it if that's where they go. That being said, someone else in chat had brought up that Disney sold way too much Grogu merch to have Grogu gone from the series for long. So I don't know how they would, and surprise, he's back right away, and not have it feel manufactured. So I'm a little worried for Mandalorian season 3 and 4 personally. But I'm super hyped for the more recent announcement, which I know you'll talk about in a little bit. So I'm not going to spoil it, Dan.
Well, no, I think that's a great segue. Let's talk about it because in case you clicked away from Disney Plus when the credits started rolling, there is a post-credit scene during which we see a familiar locale, Jabba's palace, a familiar face, Bib Fortuna, and then we see Boba Fett return to slaughter said Fortuna and take the throne for himself. And they announced a brand new spin-off series, The Book of Boba Fett, and that's going to be premiering in December 2021. They also confirmed that Robert Rodriguez, who directed Chapter 14, The Tragedy, where we saw Boba Fett kick ass finally after 40 years, he's going to be executive producing that as well. So I'm curious, Khail, what did you think about this announcement, and what do you hope to see from The Book of Boba Fett?
I want to see how he escaped that Sarlacc pit. I just hope they do some sort of like flashback and give us that fully, because I remember back before this all existed, I was dating this girl who her dad had a statue of him like flying out and shooting it. And I was just like, yeah, but that didn't happen. So I would love for them to like actually make that happen. I'm still not fully in love with Boba Fett. Like, he's still cool, but I've spent so much more time with Mando. So I'm just looking for them to hook me a little bit more with Boba Fett. But yeah, as long as they keep it as intimate as they did with Mando, I think that's where both of these series can like really strive, as this sort of intimacy and this sort of small scale stories. I think I kind of got disenfranchised with the giant scale of, like giant ships fighting each other with beams and stuff like that. And having everybody's boots on the ground is so much better. I've actually been wondering, I'm asking all of you, and even in the comments, is this also your second favorite thing in Star Wars besides the original trilogy?
Probably. I'd say this has made me like Star Wars again. I was feeling really burnt out by the sequel trilogy.
Not a trilogy.
What's up?
Just trust me. This is my coping mechanism for those last 3 movies. I refuse to call them a trilogy. They happened to release 3 movies that were in a timeline that was succinct with one another. It wasn't a trilogy because that was not a coherent story. And if you just remove trilogy, you actually cope with those movies a little bit better.
By the final 3 films of the Skywalker saga, then, I just felt kind of burnt out by the discourse around it and how it just burnt me out on it. And the Mando reminded me of what I love about Star Wars and giving this more granular take on it. It's part of the reason I was a little disappointed to see Luke Skywalker, because I liked the idea that this was not just about the sort of same 6 characters we've been spending time with for 40 years. It's why I'm so excited for The Acolyte, that show that's taking place in the High Republic thousands of years and like hundreds of years beforehand. But I might be in the minority on that. Like, I also wasn't a fan of Luke's CGI in the deep fakery.
I was also not a fan. I have seen better inappropriate deep fakes of myself online than we saw in that episode, if we're going to be fully transparent about it. Khail, when you rank Mando like 2 next to the OG trilogy, it reminded me of this god awful tweet that I woke up to this morning. So I follow Cody Rhodes, used to be a big fan, WWE. And this was trending this morning that Cody put out his personal ranked Star Wars things. And it's a thing. So I'm just going to read you the order. And this is from best to worst. Tell me where everybody else falls on this, because I was like, Cody, I'm disappointed that I follow you. Okay. Best to worst. 1, Empire Strikes Back. 2, Last Jedi. 3, Revenge of the Sith. 4, Force Awakens. 5, Return of the Jedi. 6, A New Hope. 7, Mando. 8, Clone Wars. 9, Attack of the Clones. 10, Rise of Skywalker. 11, Rebels. 12, Solo. 13, Phantom Menace. And 14, last place, Rogue One.
Ooh.
My teeth hurt.
Your soda's too cold.
I was like, what are you even thinking, Cody Rhodes?
That's, you know what, I love that everyone really does take something unique from each of these. I mean, we were talking about, is Mandalorian sort of the best thing that we've had since sort of a good set of movies? For me, what's exciting me the most for the future of Star Wars is that we are kind of doing something that we've never really done before ever, and that is focusing on characters that were made in the animated universe, in the animated shows, and bringing them to life. So we are coherently telling a story with both animated and real life characters, and that's like simultaneously becoming one. That is exciting. And what's really cool about the Book of Boba is that he is technically an original trilogy and a prequels character that we have seen in such capacity. Not so much the OT, he was more symbolic than anything, but then you got his backstory all throughout the Clone Wars animated series. He teams up with like this ragtag bunch of bounty hunters, and that in itself is really iconic and awesome. And then, you know, he's one of the, you know, he's the OG, clone. And so you know that every single other clone that was out there through the Clone Wars history was a version of Boba Fett. And so I love the expanse that provides, especially with dialogue from someone like Bo-Katan, who casually mentions that Jango Fett is not his father, it's his donor, and the fact that she's heard his voice across the galaxy. It's those little bits there where we're like, yeah, we can really expand this without it being a Skywalker saga.
Yeah, do you like Boba Fett better than Mando? Maude, do you like Boba Fett better than Mando?
Okay, so Mando's if I can use D&D alignment here, because I think Mando's starting to be like lawful neutral in the sense where it's like he follows his code and he lives by his code, whereas Boba Fett is chaotic neutral, and seeing him, spoiler, sit atop the throne in Jabba's palace is exciting for me. So I think by Mando living within the confines of his own sort of like code, he's not as exciting, but he does represent something that we've never ever seen in the Star Wars universe, and that is a good father-son relationship.
Yeah, it's a series predicated on genocide and daddy issues, and it's nice to see finally a good father figure appear after 40 plus years. And with the Book of Boba, I'm hoping that this can be kind of what Star Wars 1313, that canceled video game, was going to be. And that is kind of like tales of a bounty hunter in like the seedy criminal underbelly of the galaxy far, far away, because it seemed like Mando was going to be that at first, but it quickly veered more towards that like kind of lone wolf and cub territory, which is fantastic. I love that. But I'm also looking forward to seeing Boba stake out his claim as the newfound like crime lord of Tatooine. So we shall see what happens in the weeks and months ahead. I'm very excited to see that. We just have to wait until December 2021. In the meantime, you can always revisit the Clone Wars or Star Wars Rebels on Disney Plus. And I think they do a fantastic job of fleshing out a lot of these characters and delivering on the promise of the prequel trilogy, something that was cool on paper but poorly executed as a film trilogy in terms of telling the scope of the story. And I think it's made better by those animated series. But anyway, now that we're done with news for the day, it's time for some good old-fashioned Nerdist News trivia. So we here at the Nerdist News Trivia Talks Back Institute for the Trivial Arts like to connect our trivia to the barest of threads. So today happens to be Samuel L. Jackson's birthday, so we're going to celebrate one of the greatest actors of all time with some questions about his life and career. Okay, so question number one, right out the gate, how old is Samuel L. Jackson? Is he A, 63, B, 58, C, 72, or D, 82? How old is Samuel L. Jackson? Is he A, 63, B, 58, C, 72, or D, 82?
Okay, I wrote this before you read the answers, and then I was like, oh, let me delete it in case I'm supposed to write A, B, C.
Delete it.
Trust your gut.
Let me delete it.
Also,
sorry.
That's how you write in a notebook?
I mean, to show on a webcam, yes.
Get it. Yeah, that makes sense.
No, she's just an agent of chaos. It's
are we showing the answer at the end of each question?
Yeah.
Oh.
So show me your answer when you have it. I can't see yours, Khail.
I know. I said A.
You fool of a took. The answer is C, 72.
Damn it.
But he doesn't look a day over 63, so I understand why.
Took.
Okay, question number two. Samuel L. Jackson has been in almost 200 movies. Which of these is not a real credit from his IMDb? Is it A, Mr. Senior Love Daddy, B, Gator Purify, C, Mitch Hennessy, or D, Desolation Williams? So which of the following is not a real Samuel L. Jackson credit from his IMDb? Is it A, Mr. Senior Love Daddy, B, Gator Purify, C, Mitch Hennessy, or D, Desolation Williams?
Wow, that's a really tough question.
I just guessed.
Oh, fantastic. While Mr. Senior Love Daddy sounds fake, it is in fact real. The answer is D. Desolation Williams is the name of Ice Cube's character from Ghosts of Mars. And Mitch Hennessy is the Samuel L. Jackson character from The Long Kiss Goodnight, an excellent Christmas action movie if you want to change things up from Die Hard. So
Hilarious.
All right. Question number 3. True or false? Samuel L. Jackson is an accomplished brass musician. True or false? Samuel L. Jackson is an accomplished brass musician. Does that say true, Khail?
It does, yeah.
I'm sorry, delete
my
your
love
hands.
lines, too?
No, it's correct. So the answer is true. He played trumpet and French horn from 3rd grade all the way through his senior year of high school.
Nice. I'd love to
All
see
right.
that.
Yeah, he's saving it for his 201st movie.
Okay.
All right. Question number 4. In the TV edit version of Snakes on a Plane, Samuel L. Jackson did his own dubbing for censoring. So what is I've had it with these mother effing snakes replaced with? Is it A, monkey fighting snakes, B, macho flipping snakes, C, mango drinking snakes, or D, mustard dipping snakes? So in the Snakes on a Plane TV edit, what did Samuel L. Jackson censor mother effing snakes with? A, monkey fighting snakes, B, macho flipping snakes, C, mango drinking snakes, or D, mustard dipping snakes?
I thought it was Monday to Friday snakes.
That's Monday to Friday plane. You're correct. It's mother.
Oh, right.
It's monkey fighting snakes on this Monday to Friday plane. So the answer is A.
Oh, it is A. Good job, Maude. I was like, please let it be mango drinking because that makes no sense and is so hilarious.
Yes.
Monkey fighting. That's great.
That's like in the other famous examples. We did a video on this a couple years back about famous censoring things like that, where you have The Big Lebowski. This is what happens when you find a stranger in the Alps. And in Die Hard, you have Yippee-ki-yay, Mr. Falcon. So some fantastic options there.
There's some,
right.
Trisha's so good at having like wholesome content, especially when she's like under the pressure when streaming. So this is like a really good way to expand the repertoire of.
Yeah, thank you for giving me all these ideas.
Of course. Oh, mango drinking snakes. Oh man. All right. Question number 5. True or false? Jackson was expelled from Morehouse College. True or false? Samuel L. Jackson was expelled from Morehouse College. The answer is true. He was expelled for locking board members in a building for 2 days in protest of the school's curriculum and governance back in 1969. And included in that group of people was Martin Luther King Jr.'s father, Martin Luther King Sr. So interesting Samuel L. Jackson fun fact.
Wow.
Cool.
All right. Question number 6. Samuel L. Jackson has lent his voice to dozens of animated characters, but which of these is not one of them? A, Gin Rummy, B, Frozone, C, Whiplash, or D, Augustus Gibbons? So which of these is not an animated character that Samuel L. Jackson has played? Is it A, Gin Rummy, B, Frozone, C, Whiplash, or D, Augustus Gibbons? It says A?
It's an A.
Okay,
Sorry,
unfortunately, Gin Rummy is the character. The one, Augustus Gibbons, is the one he did not play that was animated, but that's his live action character from the Triple X franchise.
Frozone is in Incredibles.
Yes. Yes, the one who has the super suit.
Yeah, I didn't realize that was Samuel L. Jackson.
Surprise.
What? You didn't realize Frozone was Samuel L. Jackson?
No, but I have seen the movie like once over a decade ago.
Oh, okay.
That's fair. Now on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
And Gin Rummy is from Boondocks.
Got it.
Okay.
My Tiny Human's too young for The Incredibles. We tried for like 2 seconds and he freaked out in the first 5 minutes because it was too scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't, that family, too many powers. I can't deal with it either. Not enough capes. Okay,
Okay.
question number 7. What is Samuel L. Jackson's favorite color? Is it A, red, B, purple, C, burnt sienna, or D, seafoam green?
I wrote the
What is
answer
his
before
favorite-
I heard the number.
Of course. Is it
But,
A, red, B, purple, C, burnt sienna, or D, seafoam green? Wow, Trisha writing in her answer, trying to actualize this in the world. The answer is B, purple. He directly asked George Lucas if he could have a purple lightsaber, and many of his characters in different films have purple motifs, like Mr. Glass in Unbreakable. So, yeah. it's a
That's
good
my
color.
favorite color too.
It's a good lightsaber color too.
Yeah, it's so unique.
Yeah.
Green, red, who needs it? Give us a secondary color.
How many questions are there?
There's 3 more. Okay.
No,
Question number-
got a broom.
Question number 8. True or false, Samuel L. Jackson appears in a single scene of a film that features both Fabio and former NBA star Patrick Ewing dressed as angels. True or false? Samuel L. Jackson appears in a single scene in a film that features both Fabio and former NBA star Patrick Ewing dressed as angels.
Yeah, I want that to be true.
Yes, it's true. The movie is The Exorcist 3. Samuel L. Jackson plays a blind man, but he's dubbed over. No clue why Patrick Ewing or Fabio were cast, but hey, why not? Okay, question number 9. What animal is what animal has Samuel L. Jackson not been killed by on film? A dinosaur, B, a shark, C, a bear, or D, a gorilla? Which of the following animals has not killed Samuel L. Jackson on film?
What were
A,
they?
dinosaur, B, shark, C, bear, or D, gorilla?
Oh no, it's like that's
That's
purple.
purple.
Oh, you got to twist harder.
There it is.
Unfortunately, he has been killed by a gorilla. He was smooshed to death by King Kong in Kong Skull Island, eaten by a shark in
that's
Deep Blue
right.
Sea, and dismembered by raptors in Jurassic Park.
Bear.
But
Oh,
he
this
has
is
never
messed
been murdered by a bear. So maybe in
Huh.
Paddington 3
Yeah.
or The Revenant 2. Okay, question number 10. Here's a tough one for you. With over 180 films under his belt, he definitely has some odd ones in there, but which of the following is not a Samuel L. Jackson movie? Is it A, The Caveman's Valentine, B, The Search of One-Eyed Jimmy, C, The Great White Hype, or D, Ghost Dog, Way of the Samurai? So which of the following is not a Samuel L. Jackson movie? Is it A, The Caveman's Valentine, B, The Search of One-Eyed Jimmy, C, The Great White Hype, or D, Ghost Dog, Way of the Samurai?
I'm getting good at this. Just the
You
writing
are.
on me, not the
Yeah,
actual
you're gonna wake up
quiz.
tomorrow and it's gonna be the worst version of Memento. Okay, the answer is D, Ghost Dog, Way of the Samurai. That's a 1999 film directed by Jim Jarmusch, starring Forrest Whitaker as a samurai in New York City. And I wish it was The Caveman's Valentine because I did not care for that movie, but anyway, neither here nor there. Okay, our supercomputer has tabulated the results, and our winner is Maude. Congratulations.
Yay!
You did it. You're going to States.
He's one of my favorite interviews. So
He is
I've
just
done a lot of research on the man.
delightful human being.
He's so good.
Uh,
He's good.
And now, Maude, as our newly minted winner of the Samuel L. Jackson Trivia Crown, it's time for our 30-second soapbox. This is our time to talk about anything we want to talk about, promote anything at all you want to talk about, get anything off your chest you want to get off your chest. So as our winner, you are up first. What do you have for us?
Oh, all right. So we mentioned it earlier, but we are getting new episodes of, well, no, old episodes, but of new content that you might not have seen, which is the best books that we covered on Nerdist Book Club, back when it was Alpha Book Club. We are going to be covering the first Harry Potter book and The Princess Bride, and that's coming on Nerdist, which is going to be super, super amazing. And you get to see a mod from 2 years ago, which is a lot of fun as well. But also, I really want to push the fact that I did a show called The Mandalorian, which was Mandalorian post-show conversations. They are all up on my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/geekbomb. And we had 2 amazing guests on the finale talk. So it's definitely worth seeing that. And I think I'm trying to hit 7,000 subs on Twitch. So if you head to twitch.tv/geekbomb and give that a follow, that'd be amazing too. That's my 30 seconds.
Fantastic. And folks, if you haven't already, it's almost the first of the month. That means you have a new Twitch Prime sub. So, hey, why not hit that subscribe button? Anyway.
I thought you were talking about rent. I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah,
of
everyone
the
else you have to
month.
pay rent. I just give my landlord my Twitch Prime sub, and he says that's fine. So just he's a very forward-thinking feudal lord.
Oh, and Maude, Drunkmas.
Oh, Drunksmith is on tonight as well. Twitch, 5 till 8 p.m. PT. We are doing our inaugural Drunksmith for the half-hour happy hour. So come on by, crack a drink. I'm raising money for an amazing charity that means a lot to me. Yay.
Fantastic. What's the charity, may we ask?
It's called igea.com. I think you can find all the details at. Basically, the TLDR for it is that in Africa, a lot of schools, as soon as a girl starts menstruating, she is no longer allowed to attend school. So this is basically providing sanitary kits so that they can continue their education, which I think a simple solution for a massive outcome.
That is a incredible cause, and I hope many people tune in and donate. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Yay.
And okay, moving right along. Trisha, what do you have for us?
So I have been streaming Cyberpunk 2077 on a PC with an RTX 3090 in it. So if anyone's like, hey, I want to see what this looks like on psycho settings, that's where you can find it. Twitch.tv/Trisha Hershberger. And those are legit. The settings are all ultra or psycho if it's an option. But I've been streaming that in Cyberpunk cosplay almost 4 days a week. And then in addition to that, on my Twitch channel, I do, if you're into indie games and you like looking at alpha or beta or very early builds of indie games, I do a show every Tuesday called the Twitch Gong Show, which is basically American Idol, but for indie games. Like if American Idol were for indie games instead of singers, that would be it. So what I mean by that is the audience gets to vote in chat whether they think an early build of an indie game is awesome as is, or maybe still needs a little bit more time to cook and we should gong it and move on to the next one. But it's a great way to get eyeballs on indie games you might not have otherwise heard of, as well as give feedback to devs when they're at a very crucial time in the development process. So all of that can be found at twitch.tv/Trisha Hershberger. Come on by and join the Dragon Riders.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And last but not least, Khail, what do you have for us?
Yo, I'm not doing anything for charity. Just putting that out there. I should be, but everybody else was, and now I feel bad that mine isn't going to include. Yo, I'm raising money for people. Like, yeah. But anyway, yeah, make sure to check out. I do a show on Fandango called Weekly Ticket. It's no supplement for your Nerdist news, but it's a good companion if you'd like to check that out. I also give you news and what all the new releases and stuff like that. On a personal account, if you would like to see, I'm doing a travel series currently on TikTok. It's also I also put it up on Instagram, but it seems to be thriving much more on TikTok. By the way, Maude, I saw your TikTok video of you crying to Mandalorian. You posted on TikTok. So check out Maude. I'm also plugging other people during my 30 seconds.
Yay.
But I just went to Hellhole, which was really funny to go to do. And I have another one coming out where I go to this town that's filled with all these metal statues, including a giant dragon and a huge scorpion and stuff like that. So that's going to be coming out pretty soon. Other than that, I also stream. My stuff is a little bit more random. I do a lot of where I just kind of explore internet stuff like top lists. And sometimes I'll do games. Like I had every single one of the people that is in this chat. We played Among Us. So maybe we should do that again, maybe for charity. So I feel good about myself. But yeah, that's just, if you need to find me, type in Khail Anonymous literally into anything except for like Tinder, I guess.
I just followed you on TikTok.
Me
Yeah,
or Maude?
I already followed.
You'll find out.
I just followed you, Khail.
Okay.
My favorite TikTok of yours, I like the one where it's like had that double suspension tent where you could climb up through the middle.
Yeah,
of
that
the
was
tent.
cool.
Yeah, I really
Oh
like that.
yeah. Yeah, that thing is fun. It's like real bouncy. It's like if you've ever went to like one of those places where the entire floor is bouncy, it's what that was like. Just imagine sleeping on that. They by the way, they hit me up and they were like, "We love the video. Come back anytime." So hey, maybe when this is over, we all go and we all stay there. I got a new video I did. There we go.
First one to fall out loses. I'm going to lose immediately. But awesome. Thank you all so much. And that's it for today's episode of Nerdist News Talks Back. Special thank you to everyone here on the panel, everyone who tuned in at home. And also make sure you check out today's episode of Nerdist Now, because we have exclusive interviews with the cast of The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, looking back at the entirety of the series, because we're heading into the final installment of that Netflix series. And with that said, we'll see you back here next Monday for a brand new episode of Nerdist News Talks Back at 2 p.m. Pacific, live on Nerdist YouTube channel and Geek and Sundry's Twitch channel. So until then, stay safe, be healthy, have a very happy holiday, and have a great day. Bye-bye.